Hello and welcome to the first edition of WNHS TV for the 2020-2021 new virtual school year. And we're coming to you from our own houses all over Northern Coward County on this cool fall day. I'm Betsy Schlehuber.
And I'm Liz Quesenberry. Today on our show we'll be checking in with freshmen who are starting high school virtually. We'll honor Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg legacy and discuss the controversy on the new Supreme Court justice. We'll review some tips on how to stay productive during the online school day, and we'll review the new game everyone's been playing, Among Us. Now to our reports. Anna?
Thanks, Liz. Starting school online this year is bizarre and out of the ordinary for all of us. But think about the freshmen having to start their high school experience behind a computer screen. Betsy Schlehuber, Paige Plater, Owen Andriani, Jojo Hensley, Liz Quisenberry, and I asked the freshmen about how they're dealing with the changes.
Digital learning, classwork, tell school's like a dream. So join me in this mess.
The hardest part about virtual learning for myself is definitely adjusting to the workload, the new teachers, and just being in a new high school in general. It's already a different and new experience as it is, but not knowing the expectations of my teachers and my work, it's a bit challenging.
I think the hardest part of virtual learning is not getting that in-person education and human interaction that one could get from an in-school environment.
Some of the hardest parts of virtual learning, I know for a lot of my friends in the freshman class, is definitely making a connection with your teacher and being able to learn. That's definitely one of the most important parts of the learning process when in school.
I think some workloads are less than middle school, but then other classes like AP courses, or if you're taking an advanced class, you get more self-study, which I'm not really used to.
I wouldn't say online school is difficult, but it definitely requires getting used to in order to gain that sense of normalcy.
The workload for high school is definitely more than middle school, and I feel like it's gotten worse now that we're online.
Online school is not as difficult for me, but I would definitely say it's more difficult in the sense that I enjoy physically talking to my teachers and asking questions with them. So it's a lot different when I have to constantly email, especially when I don't like emails at all.
The best thing about digital learning is that you have a lot more independence and free time. So if you want to do something during your lunch break, if you want to do kind of personal hobbies, if you want to do sports out of your free time, you have a little more ability for that. And I think it's nice to be able to kind of sleep in a little bit more.
Now that we're online, I feel like my grades have been higher just because I have more time to focus on them and not have to worry about going into school.
I think one of the biggest things that teachers and administrators can do to help us through this difficult time is just being more understanding with things like workload and due dates, because that just adds to the stress of what we're going through.
They can also help me become more familiar with them, just talking more instead of obviously there is a short amount of time, but maybe just meeting with students and having a quick conversation with them during and before and after class. It just make everyone feel a lot more comfortable.
I think the most helpful thing their teachers are doing are just kind of checking in on us, doing those little breaks because they can get a lot, and just being kind of mindful of the fact that we're online and it's new for everybody.
Strategies that I've used to help me stay on top of my work is definitely prioritizing. That's the biggest thing I've been doing is I've been okay, I have X assignment due Monday and this assignment due Wednesday.
I have a homework app that I can just write in everything I have to do and the due dates, and it gives me reminders, so that helps me without forgetting everything.
The one thing that we're missing out on, and I'm sure we're going to get it later if we do go back this year, is just that kind of state of all of us being in this mess of not knowing where we are, not knowing the school, not knowing teachers, and then kind of watching as the year grows. I was expecting kind of a lot more options and a lot more people to make friends with, and just a larger community. I think part of that's being fulfilled, but then I think there's other aspects like football games and kind of homecoming that we will never get.
If we don't go back into school, I'm going to be really bummed out about not getting the chance to try out for Northern softball team. I play for a travel team, and making the high school team would have been pretty great.
I definitely look forward going back to school, but specifically just seeing my friends and my teachers. I obviously also want to get into clubs because high school is completely new to me, and I'm kind of missing out on all the normalcies that you would have if you were actually in school.
I'm super looking forward to being in the new building that I've never experienced before. once we go back, because it's the high school, it's way nicer than Northern Middle. So I'm really excited for that, and then just being able to see my friends every day again, I'm really looking forward to.
Digital learning, classwork, tell school's like a dream. So join me in this mess that we're...
On the evening of September 18, 2020, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away from complications of metastatic pancreatic cancer. She was known as the notorious RBG to many who looked up to her. She spent most of her life fighting for social justice, mainly women's rights. Now that RBG is deceased, there is a lot of argument over whether she should be replaced now or after the 2020 election. Larissa Richardson, Kristen Colbert, Betsy Schluber, Bailey DeShane, and I inquire with students and staff about everything RBG.
Ready, step! Ready, step! Ready, step! Ready, step!
Ruth Bader Ginsburg was an inspiration to me and millions of women in this country. She inspired me to pursue a career in law and to be a leader and to be confident.
She was a Supreme Court justice who was dedicated to her interpretation of the United States Constitution.
RBG personally does not mean too much for me, as obviously she served most of her time before I was born, but it still means a lot that she was a woman onto the Supreme Court, which is a vast minority, of course.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg was an icon. I think we could go as far to say she was the face of gender equality in legislation. It's safe to say that she meant the world to women across the United States.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg has been a pioneer for women's rights in this country. She has helped make many landmark decisions in things such as women's rights to choose, women's rights in the workplace, and helped make the decision on same-sex marriage.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg meant a lot to me. Not only was she the second female justice to be appointed to the Supreme Court, but she spent her whole life fighting for gender equality.
Many of her accomplishments for women go unnoticed and are things you wouldn't really think of, such as being able to have a bank account and sign a mortgage without a male's name, and being able for women to serve on a jury, and of course, fighting for equal pay, which we still haven't gotten to 100%.
Personally, what she's done hasn't affected me, but I can definitely see why a lot of people care about her so much because of her stance on abortion, and which has helped many, many women do what they want with their own body.
I think that these next 4 years with our president, whoever it may be, should be accompanied by their preferred justice. I also look back at the 2016 election where Obama had this same opportunity in February and was denied that by Lindsey Graham because it was too close to the upcoming election. I think now that Trump only has 2 months between the opening and the election, Lindsey Graham should stick to his word and say, we'll wait for the next elected president to choose their Supreme Court justice.
When Obama had tried to replace Antonin Scalia, he was shut down by the very people who want to nominate Amy Coney Barrett.
To the victor go the spoils. And hypocrisy is rampant in American politics. And what is okay for you to do when you have the power is very different than what is okay for somebody else to do when they have the power.
On both sides, both Democratic and Republican parties will always want their office to be in the majority. So they will always go against what they said before on either side in order to do whatever suits them best.
I personally believe that Donald Trump has every single presidential right to elect a new Supreme Judge because he was elected for 4 years and not 3, and he has the right to serve his duty for 4 years.
I'm a woman, and I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, and the new Supreme Court nominee, Amy Coney Barrett, is Catholic. And regarding her religion, she is anti-abortion and anti-LGBTQ. And I think that part of that means that she wants to overturn Roe v. Wade and Bostock v. Clayton and, try to put some regulation on women's bodies and who you can love. And I don't think that's right.
In the wake of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death, I'm most concerned about a conservative majority on the Supreme Court. Conservative majority means the potential for decisions like this to be reversed. And to me, these decisions are human rights.
And it's a very scary thought.
I'd be very interested to see how the interpretation of the Constitution changes. Usually only two things can overturn a Supreme Court decision, and that is an amendment to the Constitution and another Supreme Court decision. Well, they are talking, usually it takes about 50 years. Brown versus the Board of Education was 50 years after Plessy versus Ferguson. There's a possibility that cases that were just decided a year, 2, 5 years ago could be overturned. So we could see a pretty significant change in the interpretation of the United States Constitution as a result, which could have some serious ramifications throughout the entire country and government.
I think a few ways to respect RBG's legacy is to choose somebody who follows what she felt morally and follows her moral compass, as well as electing another woman to fill her position.
It's very hypocritical if Ruth Bader Ginsburg were to be replaced this year. It'd be an insult to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's memory as her dying wish to not be replaced until after the election.
I think we should respect Ruth Bader Ginsburg's legacy by appointing a new justice after the election like she asked, and to keep fighting for women's rights and equal pay because we still haven't finished her journey.
I think we should respect her legacy by knowing what it is. I think we should respect her legacy by informing ourselves over the powers of the United States Supreme Court and just how significant judicial review can be and the impact they can have on our life.
Ready, stop! Ready, stop! Ready, stop! Ready, stop!
Ever since online schooling started, students have been having a lot of issues attending meetings and completing work, which is understandable, that being the online schooling environment is very different from what we're used to. With that being said, Josh Green, Elena Stewart, Skylar Shaner, Peyton Russell, and I have made a list to help you stay more productive during online schooling.
If you've ever seen a sloth or a pick of baby Sue, just go online and check them out. Remember what to do. Always ask a...
Some disadvantages that I've run into during online learning so far is I have a really hard time learning and grasping lessons that were being taught, and it's also very easy being in your house or in your bedroom. It's very easy to get distracted, and so during school it's either your phone or listen to lessons, so students are more likely to choose to go on their phone rather than listen to the lessons.
Is online school better than regular school? In my opinion, no, it's not. It's not anywhere near. Online school's boring. It's really hard to stay focused. In person, you're allowed to really just mess around with your friends, normal stuff, but with this, you just really can't do anything like that. And I get that you're trying to be safe, but it's just really boring.
One thing that we definitely want you guys to do is take brain breaks. Make sure that you're not sitting at the monitor for several hours and that you get up, walk around, get a snack. If you get a snack, make sure it's something that is healthy and that is going to increase your attention and increase your energy. And we stay away from the chips and the sugary snacks because those things do not help us when we're trying to concentrate on our schoolwork.
And some disadvantages are it's kind of difficult to complete and turn in work, and I sleep through all my classes.
Lots of distractions make it a lot easier to cheat. You don't have any face-to-face teacher time. It's a lot harder to grasp materials.
The next thing I want you to do is think about breathing, your deep breathing. You may want to increase that. That will help you. That will reduce your stress. One thing you can do is breathe in for 5 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, and then breathe out for 5 seconds to really make those deep breaths count. Another thing that you can do is make sure that you're practicing some self-care. And I want you to think of things that make you happy. It could be talking to your friends virtually. It could be listening to music. It could be going outside for a walk. If you do, wear your mask. Okay, so think of some things that are going to make you happy and make you smile.
Quite a few disadvantages. I would say not really having a lot of communication with your teachers, and sometimes the technology doesn't always work as good as we want it to.
But some advantages I've had is that I can work at my own pace, and if I do need help, I can, and I've already left class, you can just go right back and ask them a question.
Safer and we all can stay home and you can just roll out of bed and do it.
There's not too many advantages to online learning, but a few that I can think of are creating your own schedule and being able to kind of space your work out between the week, and having just 2 classes at Northern. It makes it really easy.
And lastly, I need you to remember that this too shall pass. Whenever there's something difficult going on, I always say that to myself. I want you to say that to yourself, and just remember, this is temporary. This is not always. It is just right now, and then it will be over and it will pass, okay?
If you've ever seen a sloth or a pick a baby Sue, just go online and check them out. Remember what to do. Always ask a...
Thanks, Angelina. Over the past 8 months, we've had a lot of holidays that we've had to tank due to the current circumstances of the coronavirus quarantine. How will students spend their quarantine Halloween for 2020? Angelina Sutton, Tayshawn Jones, Quincy Barber, and Lexi Bingham found out.
Suddenly, to my surprise, he did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. He did the monster mash.
This year for Halloween, I don't have any plans because, we are in a global pandemic. I don't really feel comfortable going out and partying or doing anything, or even just getting together with a group of people because, I don't want to die or kill my family.
I think they're going to allow kids to do trick-or-treating this year because it's a tradition and it's a part of growing up, and also because people aren't taking COVID as seriously anymore.
You can always wear a mask with your costume, and also some costumes have masks, and it's never too hard to social distance.
I think personally they're not gonna let people trick-or-treat because it's like you're going from house to house.
You can just leave out a bucket of candy at your front door instead of handing it out to kids.
If you are gonna go out, please wear a mask, be safe, still practice social distancing. Just don't be stupid. Don't be an idiot.
If you're going around, everybody's touching the same candy. You don't know where their hands have been. You don't know where the candy's been.
Many states and cities have already banned trick-or-treating. I think LA was the first city to do it.
They're not gonna let people trick-or-treat. It's gonna have to be a secret thing nobody really talks about.
Just don't be dumb. Please be safe. But, have fun, I guess.
I think a lot of houses are just not gonna do it this year.
Suddenly, to my surprise, he did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. He did the monster mash.
A new video game that has gone viral this fall. It's called Among Us. Although the game was first released in June of 2018, it only seems to have grabbed hold during the pandemic. Now it seems everyone is playing it. Brandon Trink, Callie Chaya, Jay Powell, Morgan Culk, and I reviewed the game.
You're mistaken, little imposter, hurt you. You're mistaken, little imposter, hurt you.
On June 15th, 2018, an interactive game called Among Us hit people's cell phones and promptly flopped. But during the pandemic of 2020, it has become extremely popular and involves one team of crewmates, and among those crewmates, there are between 1 and 3 imposters. If you are the crewmate, your job is to survive. Plus, you and your other crewmates must complete tasks to win or find and report dead bodies and vote all the imposters out. If you are the imposter, you and the other imposters must kill all crewmates to win. Imposters are the only players in the game that have access to escape in the vents in order to get around the map. By the start of September, it seemed like everyone in the world had found out about this game, and it rose to popularity during the COVID-19 pandemic. People were trying to find something to do after Animal Crossing lost popularity, and then it seemed like this game came out of nowhere. Ever since then, people have been playing Among Us with friends 24/7, and even YouTubers find watching recordings of this game fun. The best thing about Among Us is when everyone is in a meeting, you always have one person that says, "This person is sus." That basically means that someone senses an imposter around and they are alerting other players to check the situation out. Some things that could make the game a bit better would be more maps, a system in which you could add friends, and an in-game mic. Overall, the game is fantastic. It's engaging, dramatic, hilarious, and people are even using it to make new friends. If you have an Apple or Android device, it is free to download through either the Google Play Store or the App Store. If you want to play this game on PC, it costs $5 on Steam. We give this game an A+. For WNHS, I'm Brandon Trinkbarrels.
And that's this week's show. Patriots, if you're a senior and haven't taken your senior photos yet, makeups for senior photos will be next Thursday and Friday, October 22nd and October 23rd. For WNHS, I'm Liz Questenberry.
And I'm Betsy Schlehuber. That's the end of our first virtual WNHS for the new school year. Despite the obvious challenges, we'll be here covering the news at Northern, even if Northern is in our own living rooms and bedrooms. And be sure to follow Northern Journalism on Twitter at NHS Patriot Press to stay updated on all things NHS. That's it for us. Tune in next week for a new episode of WNHS at Home. We'll see you then!